They called her Chaplain Gray. Just the hospital chaplain, the woman who held hands and whispered prayers while the real heroes saved lives. Dr. Marcus didn't even look up when she walked past the trauma bay that Tuesday morning. Why would he? She was just there to comfort the dying. But when the man on Gurney 7 opened his eyes and whispered 6 words in Farsi, everything changed. His hand moved, subtle, deliberate, traced 3 numbers on her palm while alarms screamed around them. She froze. That signal. She hadn't seen it in 8 years, not since Kandahar, not since she'd walked away from everything. The hospital didn't know, nobody knew, and in 47 seconds, armed men would seal every exit. The emergency department of St. Catherine's Hospital ran on controlled chaos. Chaplain Sarah Gray had learned to navigate it like a ghost, present but invisible, necessary but overlooked. She wore the simple black shirt and clerical collar that marked her profession. Her badge read, Spiritual Care Services, in letters smaller than the doctor's credentials. She carried a pager, a small notebook, and the weight of a past nobody could see. Dr. Raymond Marcus stood at the central nursing station, his white coat pristine despite the madness around him. 28 years of emergency medicine had carved authority into his features. He barely glanced at Sarah as she approached. "Chaplain," he said, not a greeting, an acknowledgement. "Good morning, Dr. Marcus." He returned to his charts. In his world, chaplains were afterthoughts, the people you called when medicine failed, when there was nothing left to do but pray. Sarah moved through the department. Room 3 needed end-of-life counseling. Room 9 wanted prayer before surgery. Room 12 just needed someone to sit with an elderly woman while her family drove in from Connecticut. Normal, routine, safe. Then the ambulance bay doors burst open. Incoming. Gunshot wound to the chest. Blood pressure 70/40 and dropping. Gunshot wound. The trauma team mobilized instantly. Sarah pressed herself against the wall as the gurney rushed past. Standard protocol. Chaplain stayed out of the way during active resuscitation. She watched through the glass of Trauma Bay 7. The patient was male, mid-40s, dark hair, olive complexion, blood soaked through the paramedics' pressure dressings. His eyes were half closed, face gray with shock. Dr. Marcus led the team. His voice cut through the chaos with practiced precision. "Get me 2 large bore IVs. Type and cross for 6 units. Somebody page surgery." Nurses swarmed, monitors beeped, scissors cut away clothing. Sarah turned to leave. Not her place, not her world, not anymore. Then she heard it. A sound, barely audible under the medical chaos. The patient was speaking. She stopped. The words were Farsi. She recognized the dialect instantly. Northwestern Iranian, the kind spoken in certain mountainous regions near the Iraqi border. Her pulse quickened. Nobody else seemed to notice. Why would they? Medical teams focused on saving lives, not translating dying words. But Sarah heard every syllable. He was asking for help, not medical help, something else. Her feet moved before her mind caught up. She pushed through the trauma bay door. "Chaplain, you need to," a nurse started. "He's speaking," Sarah said quietly. "I can understand him." Dr. Marcus looked up, annoyed. "We're working here. Unless you're going to pray, I need you to." The patient's eyes opened, locked on Sarah. His hand moved, weak, trembling. He reached toward her. Sarah stepped closer. Professional boundaries dissolved. She took his hand, leaning down as if to offer comfort. His fingers pressed against her palm, not randomly, deliberately. 3 taps, pause, 2 taps, pause, 7 taps, 3, 2, 7. Ice flooded her veins. That was a signal, a very specific signal. One she'd used a lifetime ago in places that officially didn't exist. The patient's lips moved. He whispered in Farsi, so quietly only she could hear. "Nightingale. They found me. Packages compromised. Activate Shepherd protocol." Sarah's blood turned to ice water. Nightingale was her old call sign, the one she'd left buried in classified files 8 years ago when she'd walked away from the agency. When she'd traded tactical operations for theology, covert missions for compassionate care. Nobody should know that name. Nobody in this hospital had any idea who she'd been. She looked into the patient's eyes and saw recognition, fear, desperation. "Who are you?" she whispered back in Farsi. "Asset 17, Tehran network. They burned us, all of us." I carried the list out. Names, safe houses, everything. His breathing became more labored. In my stomach, surgically implanted, encrypted drive. You have to extract it before they do. Dr. Marcus's voice cut through. What's she saying to him? Is this family? I'm providing spiritual comfort, Sarah said, her voice steady. Her chaplain voice, calm, gentle, unthreatening. But her mind was racing. Asset 17, Tehran Network. She'd run logistics for that operation in 2015. 17 had been their deep cover intelligence officer inside the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence. If he was here, blown, with a data package surgically implanted, this wasn't a random gunshot victim. This was an international incident waiting to explode. Dr. Marcus, Sarah said, not looking away from the patient, I need you to listen very carefully. This man is not who you think he is, Marcus scoffed. Chaplain Gray, I appreciate your concern, but he has classified intelligence surgically implanted in his abdomen. There are hostile operatives looking for him right now. And in approximately, she glanced at the wall clock, calculating timelines from standard pursuit protocols. 90 seconds, this hospital is going to have very dangerous visitors. The trauma bay went silent. Everyone stared at her. Dr. Marcus's face cycled through confusion, disbelief, and annoyance. Chaplain, I don't know what you think you heard, but the overhead speakers crackled. Security alert. All personnel. We have an active security situation. Multiple armed individuals have entered the main lobby demanding access to the emergency department. Police have been notified. Initiate lockdown protocols immediately. The color drained from Marcus's face. Sarah looked at him. 93 seconds. I was being conservative. Who are you? Marcus whispered. Right now, I'm the only person in this hospital who can keep everyone alive. She turned to the senior nurse. Sandra, I need you to activate a code silver and get all non-essential personnel away from this bay. Now. Sandra didn't move. She looked to Dr. Marcus for confirmation. He stood frozen, his carefully ordered world fracturing. The patient on the table gasped. His monitor alarm shrieked. His pressure was dropping. 60 over 30, 58 over 28. He's crashing, a resident shouted. Training overrode shock. Marcus moved to the table. Hang another unit of O negative. Push pressers. We need to get him to surgery. There's no time, Sarah said. Her voice had changed. No longer the soft chaplain's cadence. Harder, sharper, command tone. They'll intercept any transport. Surgery is 3 floors up. We have maybe 4 minutes before they breach this department. Then what do you suggest? Marcus demanded. Sarah looked at the patient, at the surgical site, at the available equipment. 8 years fell away. She'd done field extractions before, under worse conditions, in buildings actively under fire, with nothing but a combat medic kit and a headlamp. She had a fully equipped trauma bay. I suggest, she said quietly, that you let me do what I was trained to do. You're a chaplain. I was other things first. Asset 17 grabbed her wrist. His grip was weakening. Nightingale, no choice. Cut it out. Destroy the list or get it to Shepherd Station. Don't let them have it. His eyes rolled back. The monitor flatlined. He's coding, Sandra shouted. Starting compressions. The resident moved in. Sarah pulled off her clerical collar, yanked her black shirt over her head. Underneath, she wore a simple tank top. She scrubbed her hands at the sink with brutal efficiency. Chaplain, what are you? Gloves, she said. Size 7, and I need a scalpel, rib retractor, and suction. Now. Nobody moved. Now. The command cracked through the bay like a gunshot. Sandra moved on instinct. Gloves, scalpel. Equipment appeared. Sarah pulled on the gloves, stepped to the table, looked at Dr. Marcus. I'm going to perform a damage control laparotomy, locate the implanted device, extract it, and repair what I can. You're going to maintain his airway and pressure. Your team is going to assist, or he dies, and everyone in this hospital becomes collateral damage in a black ops cleanup. Your choice. But decide in the next 5 seconds. Marcus stared at her. You can't just... Combat field surgeon, Sarah said. 8 years, Special Activities Division, 47 successful trauma surgeries under fire, 73 extractions, 0 friendly casualties on my table. I walked away from it, but it didn't walk away from me. The overhead speakers crackled again. Security alert. Armed intruders have breached the first-floor security checkpoint. All emergency department personnel initiate barricade protocols. This is not a drill. Screaming in the hallway. The sound of doors slamming. Marcus's hands trembled, but he nodded. "Tell me what you need." Sarah's hands stopped trembling. 8 years of deliberate calm shattered. But underneath was something else, something she'd tried to bury, the surgeon she'd been, the operative who'd worked in the darkest corners of the world. "Stop compressions," she said. "I'm going in." The scalpel felt familiar in her hand, like greeting an old friend she'd sworn never to see again. She cut. The incision was perfect, precise, no wasted movement. Blood welled up. She worked through it. Suction, retractor, keep his pressure up or this is pointless. Her hands moved through anatomy like reading a map. Liver, spleen, stomach. There, a foreign object, encased in medical-grade polymer, about the size of a USB drive, sutured into the stomach wall. "Got it," she breathed. Careful dissection. The tissue came away clean. She extracted the package, held it up. "Someone bagged this. Sterile containment." Sandra moved automatically, providing a specimen container. Sarah dropped the device in. "Lock it in the medroom safe. Code Shepherd 997. "Don't ask how I know your safe codes," she returned to the patient. Repaired the extraction site. Her stitches were flawless. "He's stabilizing," Marcus said, his voice hollow with shock. "Blood pressure coming up. 70/45, 80/50. "Good. Close him up. Standard trauma closure. You know how." "Where are you going?" Sarah stripped off her gloves. "To have a conversation with our visitors." She walked to the trauma bay door, opened it. The emergency department hallway was chaos. Staff huddled behind the nursing station. Security guards crouched with weapons drawn. At the end of the hall, 3 men stood. They wore civilian clothes. But Sarah recognized the stance, the way they carried themselves, the tactical positions. Not hospital security's problem, hers. She walked toward them. Calm, steady. "That's far enough," the lead man said. Accent, Eastern European, probably Russian. "You're looking for Asset 17, Sarah said in Russian. Fluent, unaccented. The men exchanged glances. "We're looking for a patient," the leader said carefully. "He's dead," Sarah lied. "Bled out 3 minutes ago. Your intelligence was bad. Whatever he carried is gone. Destroyed per protocol when his vitals crashed. You're lying. Am I?" Sarah stopped 10 feet away. "Check the biometric tracker you planted on him. What does it say?" The leader glanced at a device on his wrist. His face tightened. "Flatline. But that doesn't mean." "It means you failed," Sarah said. "It means you need to leave this hospital before FBI and local law enforcement arrive, which they will, in about 90 seconds. You've already triggered every alarm system in the building. Who are you?" "Nobody you want to know." The leader studied her. His hand moved toward his jacket. Sarah's posture shifted, subtle, but unmistakable to someone trained to read body language. "Don't," she said quietly. "You're outmatched. You're in a public hospital with cameras everywhere. You have no exit strategy. Your operation is burned. Take your losses and go. The device is ash. We incinerate all medical waste containing potential biohazards. Standard protocol. Your package turned to carbon 30 seconds ago." Another lie, but delivered with absolute conviction. The leader's jaw clenched. He spoke rapidly into a concealed mic, listened to a response. Then he nodded to his team. They backed toward the exit. Sarah didn't move until they disappeared through the doors. Then she turned and walked back to Trauma Bay 7. Her hands were shaking now, delayed stress response. She'd learned to manage it, breathe, count, center. Dr. Marcus stood in the bay, staring at the now stable patient. "He's alive," Marcus said. "You saved him." "We saved him," Sarah corrected. "Those men are gone. Local police will find nothing. They're ghosts." Marcus looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. "Who are you?" Sarah picked up her discarded clerical collar, fastened it around her neck. The familiar weight settled on her shoulders. "I'm Chaplain Sarah Gray," she said softly. "I provide spiritual care services to patients and families during times of crisis." That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have anymore. She turned to leave. "Wait." She stopped. Marcus walked to her. His face was pale. His hands still trembled slightly. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I've spent 2 years dismissing you, thinking you were just someone who held hands and said prayers. I didn't see you. I didn't respect you." "Most people don't," Sarah said. "That's why it worked." "Worked?" The best way to disappear is to hide in plain sight. Nobody looks twice at a chaplain. Nobody asks questions. We're supposed to be there but invisible. Comforting but unimportant. You're not unimportant. I am now. The person you just saw? That was someone I left behind. Someone who did things I'm not proud of. Someone who saw too much and saved too few. Her voice cracked, just slightly. Marcus saw it. The fracture in her armor. How long? He asked. 8 years since I left the agency. 6 years in seminary. 2 years here. Why? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Kandahar, 2016. We were running an extraction. Local asset and his family. Wife and 2 daughters, ages 7 and 9. We got them to the evacuation point. I had them, right there in front of me. The helicopter was landing. She stopped, breathed. Sniper, 1 shot. The wife, she died in my arms. I tried everything. Field trauma protocols, emergency procedures, everything I'd been trained to do. It wasn't enough. That's not your fault. I know. My therapist told me that 400 times. But knowing and feeling are different things. She looked at Marcus. Those girls lost their mother because of work I did, choices I made, operations I ran. I couldn't save her. But maybe I could save someone else. Different kind of saving. Spiritual instead of physical. Prayers instead of scalpels. Until today. The patient on the table groaned, beginning to wake. Sarah moved to his side, took his hand. You're safe, she whispered in Farsi. The package is secure. You did your job. He squeezed her hand. Relief flooded his features. Thank you, Nightingale. That's not my name anymore. Then who are you? Someone trying to be better than she was. Over the next 4 hours, things moved quickly. FBI arrived. Sarah made calls to numbers she'd promised herself she'd never dial again. Certain people from certain agencies appeared. Very quiet conversations happened. Asset 17 was transferred to a secure medical facility. The implanted device was delivered to the right hands. The Tehran network was salvaged. 17 lives were saved because of information on that drive. Operations were secured. Families were protected. Sarah watched them wheel the patient away. Dr. Marcus stood beside her. They're offering you something, he said. Not a question. Yes. Back into that world, a different version. Consulting, training, medical support for field operations. I could help. Really help. Save the people I couldn't save before. What did you tell them? Sarah looked around the emergency department, at the nurses, the patients, the families huddled in waiting rooms. I told them I'd think about it. Marcus nodded slowly. For what it's worth, we need you here too. I'm just a chaplain. No, Marcus said firmly. You're not. You're an incredible surgeon, a tactical genius, someone who's seen hell and chose compassion anyway. That's rare. That's valuable. He paused. I'm creating a new position. Crisis response chaplain, someone who works alongside the trauma team, someone with medical knowledge and spiritual care training, someone who can bridge both worlds. That's not a real position. It is now, if you want it. Sarah was quiet. Can I tell you something? Marcus continued. I've been doing this for 28 years. I've seen hundreds of medical professionals. The best ones aren't just technically skilled. They're the ones who understand that we're treating people, not just bodies. You understand both sides, the medicine and the meaning. I walked away for a reason, and you came back for a reason, even if you didn't plan it. Sarah thought about the girls in Kandahar, about Asset 17, about all the patients she'd prayed with over the last 2 years. I need time. Take all you need. 3 weeks later, Sarah Gray stood in front of a mirror. She wore scrubs now, dark blue with St. Catherine's Hospital Crisis Response Team embroidered on the pocket. Her clerical collar hung around her neck on a simple chain, visible but not dominant. Both identities, integrated instead of separated. She'd accepted Marcus's position, half surgical support, half spiritual care, working with trauma teams during critical cases, providing both medical expertise and pastoral comfort. The agency had called twice. She'd declined both times. But she'd agreed to consult occasionally. Medical protocol development, training programs, nothing operational, nothing that would take her back to that world, a middle path, using all of who she'd been to help who she was becoming. Her pager buzzed, trauma incoming, multiple victims, mass casualty. Sarah took a breath, touched the collar around her neck, then she ran toward the ambulance bay, both the surgeon and the chaplain, both the warrior and the healer, all of her, finally whole. Sarah Gray's story reminds us of something crucial. The people we overlook are often the ones most capable of saving us. We live in a world obsessed with first impressions, with visible credentials, with obvious authority. But real strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it wears a collar instead of a white coat. Sometimes it chooses compassion over recognition. The next time you meet someone in a supporting role, remember this. That chaplain, that aide, that quiet person in the background might be carrying skills and experiences you can't imagine. More importantly, they might be carrying wounds they're trying to heal by helping others. True expertise doesn't need to broadcast itself. It shows up when it matters. And the greatest transformations happen when we stop separating who we were from who we're becoming, and instead integrate all our experiences into something stronger. Sarah didn't have to choose between surgeon and chaplain. She learned to be both. What parts of yourself have you buried that might still serve a purpose? What skills are you hiding that could help someone else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, subscribe for more real-life stories of hidden heroes who changed everything when it mattered most. Share this with someone who needs to know that their past doesn't disqualify them. It prepares them for something greater.